There is more clarity with the Flames' conditional picks in the Noah Hanifin trade, thanks to Dallas knocking out the Vegas Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I'm your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. Game off, we got to talk about Monopoly Go. This fast-paced game lets you team up with friends for tournaments to unlock awesome prizes like unique stickers for trading, cool playing pieces, and hilarious emojis for taunting your friends. So download Monopoly Go now, free on the Google Play or App Store. Game on. Today, we're going to be talking about the conditional draft picks for the Noah Hanifin trade that have been finalized, as well as the draft lottery, which happens tomorrow evening, and where the Flames kind of sit and in terms of that, as well as a Wranglers update. But make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss a show. You can follow us right here on Twitter at Just Belmosto. Well, we know that the conditional picks were going to be a lot, right? Like it was going to be a number of things. And I'm pulling up the win column because they did, as always, they did an excellent article breaking down the conditional draft picks. And there's so much information to digest when like conditional picks happen. And I feel like, especially with the Hanifin trade, we didn't know what the conditions were until it felt like a little bit afterwards. So let's break this down. All right. So these are the Flames' first round picks. They have first 2 round picks with conditions at this year's draft. They have their own pick as well as Vancouver's, which they acquired in the Elias Lindholm deal. Good stuff. And the Flames pick had conditions on it due to Sean Monahan's trade with Montreal. But that pick will remain with the Flames because it did not fall between 20th and 32nd. So we'll know where the draft lottery finishes and what the results are on obviously Tuesday. But the Flames could pick 1st, 2nd, 9th, 10th, or 11th, depending on the outcome of the lottery. That's crazy to me. I'm going to be real honest. There's no way that they're going to win the draft lottery, but if they were somehow able to move up, I think the trajectory of this franchise is drastically changed. We do not have a decision yet on Vancouver's pick because they are still in the playoffs, and their pick is dependent on the Stanley Cup as well. It's all dependent, again, all depends on where Vancouver finishes. The Flames will have their own 2nd round pick, which is the 41st pick overall. They also own Dallas's 2nd round pick, which is not determined yet since Dallas won the Central Division. It's the same scenario as the Canucks, where we might not know until the Stanley Cup, until what that pick is. The Flames own their own 3rd round pick, which is locked in at 74th overall. 74 is one of my lucky numbers. So like, shout out to Calgary for nailing that, and hopefully some good luck hits them there. And they have the conditional 3rd round pick from Vegas in the Noah Hanifin trade, which had a condition that it would upgrade to a 2nd rounder if Vegas won one playoff round. But since they lost to the Stars, the pick stays a 3rd round pick and is 84th overall. So let's see. That also means the Hanifin trade is complete. It ends up as Hanifin for a 2026 first round and a 2024 third round pick, and obviously Miramonov. Let's do the fourth round now. The Flames have their own fourth round pick, and this is the pick that was actually included in the package that brought Tyler Toffoli to the Flames from the Canadiens. However, the condition on the pick only allowed it to be transferred to Montreal if they did not send their 2022 first rounder, and they did. So the Flames hold their own pick. How do you come up with these conditions? It feels like Mad Libs, really. They also have the Jersey's fourth round pick. They got through the Lindholm trade because, there was some just constant movement there. And the fifth round picks, the Flames don't have any fifth round pick. They traded their own pick to the Chicago Blackhawks at the 2022 trade deadline to acquire Ryan Carpenter. That does not feel like it happened. That feels like a different lifetime ago. The Flames will pick 170th overall in the sixth round, and they don't have a seventh round pick because they traded that pick to Seattle for Kelly Yarncroke. So, in summary, the Flames have 2 first-round picks, 2 seconds, 2 thirds, 2 fourths, and 1 sixth coming up in June. Honestly, we knew that the Flames had a lot of draft capital here, and in terms of assets and draft picks, obviously. So that was an incredibly helpful breakdown, I would say, from the folks over at the Win column. So thank you for that, because it is very easy to get lost in the conditions where this draft pick went, at what deadline, because I'd completely forgotten that pieces got moved for 2 rentals at the deadline, so 2022 deadline. So, it's still over a month away. They've got the draft lottery tomorrow. We're going to talk more about the draft lottery coming up next, but I'm just very eager to see how the Flames do with their drafting. I don't think they draft a top 5 pick, and we're going to talk about that next, but I don't know. Wilder things have happened. Coming up next, we will discuss the draft lottery and just how what draft simulator tells us. But first, we are going to take a quick break here, and I want to talk to you about eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, and LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you are burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube, because we're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. With the draft lottery tomorrow, I thought it would be fun to do some probability math with the draft lottery simulator. you see a lot of people use this. I know JD from Locked On Sharks frequently posts about posts his results and where the Sharks could land. But quite honestly, the draft simulator really didn't do the Flames any favors. I did it. I thought that 3 times would be a good, best out of 3 sort of deal. Flames, everything else was changing except the Flames at number 9. So every time, I guess the Flames are just kind of destined to pick 9th, which we'll again see how that turns out tomorrow. But I don't think that they're going to be moving up. I think that, there are teams that did worse and obviously got better odds to land higher up in there. But I will say this. Drafting in the top 10 is a lot better and to start from where, that soggy middle and, the mid to late teens, that's not happening this year. And we know that typically the way it works is the better draft or the better players of the draft class get drafted early. So there really isn't much room when it comes down to, 19th. But the Flames more than likely have a top 10 pick. And it's great to see because they couldn't do another year of drafting just in the middle, in the first round. And that is not a knock to any of their prior first-round draft picks, except their 2020 draft pick, who just is no longer with the organization. But it really is a step in the right direction because you are adding higher caliber talent to your roster, and hopefully within those next 2 to 3 years, probably 2 years since it's going to be a first rounder, I would say they'll be fully integrated to the NHL, and that would be delightful. That would be great because you obviously need to keep the cupboard stocked, and you don't want to be an organization that doesn't really have I don't want to say good prospects because I mean every player that's drafted is pretty much a good prospect, but you want to be highly regarded, I guess I would say. Like you look at the Coachella Valley Firebirds, right? They are Seattle's expansion, that part of that expansion team, and they have really good players. You look at Colorado and they have good players with the Eagles. There's a number of Hershey. It's a matter of keeping, they gotta really, I don't want to say reinvent the wheel, but they need to start adding better ingredients to this soup to mix and get things going, because soup's fine. It's fine. It needs some extra seasoning. Maybe something to give it a little bit more oomph and to make your enjoyers excited, anticipate what could be next. And with the Flames, like, you have players like Jeremy Poirier, you have Dustin Wolf, you have Matt Coronado, you have Pelletier, you had Zary and Pospisil, and look at that jump that they made and how excited people were. Do I think every prospect is going to generate that kind of excitement? No. Do I think they're all going to jump out of the, AHL like that as well as those two did? No, absolutely not. But you have to start somewhere. And this season was the Flames starting point. They didn't make the playoffs. They traded those pending UFAs. They gave the young guys chances to play at the NHL level consistently. And there was room to make mistakes. And they're drafting better than they have in the last few years. So, baby steps. Rome wasn't built in a day. And you can't turn this roster into a true competitive roster overnight. Like you can't just, wiggle your nose and say, okay, give me Kachuk and Gaudreau back, or, bring me a Nylander or David Pastrnak. Like unfortunately, I really do wish it was that simple. It does not work like that. And the Flames have decent pieces to start with, but by drafting better, you're adding even more pieces to this that will eventually give you a team that you are truly excited about, that you feel like can be a real contender. And don't get me wrong, I am very excited for this Flames team. I was excited before the season started because there was something to look forward to. Like, there were storylines to follow, and it wasn't just, okay, gotta just make it through 82 games. Like, you look at the Sharks. They're out here catching strays on today's episode of Locked On Flames, so I apologize. But the Sharks, they didn't really have anything. They traded Erik Karlsson, and that was it. Didn't really have much to look forward to this year other than tanking and hopefully being bad enough to secure that number one spot. Chicago, yeah, they stunk. It was bad, but they had Connor Bedard to follow and to watch. That is a fun storyline. You think of, Ottawa Senators. I don't really know what they were writing their own story as they went along, but there were pieces of the season that you could like benchmark and be like, okay, this is a significant part of the season for this team, even if it's not, beating Edmonton or beating Vegas. There were other parts of this season that mattered, so they can start maybe seeing those teams in the postseason, because that would be so delightful. Isn't that what we all want? We all want a Battle of Alberta. We all want to see the Flames eliminate Vegas. I would love for us to get a rematch of the 2022 first round, where Jay Gottinger and Jacob Markstrom just had a goalie off. That was such a fun series. It was agonizing, but it was so fun. And they're going to keep working their way through getting better and getting back to the postseason. But coming up next, we are going to wrap up the show with some more baby Flames talks for our little baby Wranglers. But first, we're going to take a quick break and be right back after this. All right, a game off. We have to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying. Flag on the play. You already talked about that. But there is just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock, and there's so much to get. Unique stickers where you can trade with your friends to complete albums for bigger prizes, cool new pieces to travel boards with, hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vault. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasures or robot pachinko machine. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it free on the Google Play or App Store. Game on. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get podcasts and follow me on Twitter at @JessBelmosto. The Wranglers are currently in the second round of the Calder Cup playoffs, and they're playing well. I will say this, they're currently playing the Coachella Valley Firebirds, and this is the team that eliminated them in overtime in 5 games last postseason, and this is a hurdle. Not a Tomas hurdle, but a different hurdle for the Wranglers to get over. They're heading back to California after their first 2 games at home, and this is tough because they won game 1. It looked like it was easy, which is always good because that means like they're skilled players if they can make something like that look that easy. But they lost in such like devastating sounds so dramatic. Like if it was an elimination game, I would have absolutely called it devastating, but just like a gut-wrenching way. There were too many men on the ice. The goal was probably offside, but they don't have the coaches challenge in the AHL, so you can't really do much with that there. And they're playing well. It's not a matter of them going out there and looking sloppy or looking like a disjointed team. They are performing out of their mind. Dustin Wolf stopped, I believe it was 82 of 84 shots faced in the first round, and he's played very well the last 2 games against Coachella. I think that Adam Klapka has been wonderful. He's had a handful of great goals to wrap up the NHL season, and of course the postseason for the Wranglers as well. And he's just fun to watch. He's a big dude, like moving around on the ice like that. Like I'd be afraid too. I don't blame people for not being able to defend him. Cole Schwinn has had 3 postseason goals as well, and that's pretty good. Sam Morton, who was brought in on an ATO, which is amateur tryout, and he has had 3 goals in 3 games as well. Both of those players are consistent in the way that they play. I think that really the entire Wranglers roster is solid, and they are able to contribute and get creative when they need to, because I'm very not convinced that they can win this series. But with the way that they've been performing these last 3 games, I am impressed. I am more than impressed. They're playing well. It's not like I mentioned before where they're playing a disjointed game or you can see like an obvious lack of chemistry or miscommunications or anything like that. But even Trent Cull, the head coach of the Wranglers, said like he likes the way that they played, and he was asked if there was anything that he would change about going forward about that game, and he said no. I think that they're playing well, and like the recipe for success is there. I just don't know how far that is, because the Wranglers were the 7th seed in this. So if they did not expand the AHL playoffs, they would not have been in. But they did. And the Wranglers have had very dominant seasons. Last year and the year before, I believe they won the division. Dustin Wolf obviously being goaltender of the year back-to-back years. And they're fun to watch. Like, you get to see the significant progress these players make from, whether they're drafted or, undrafted free agents, like whatever their story is, you can see the true development. And you can absolutely, like, if you go back and watch like Connor Zary, you'll see the stark difference. He has more confidence. Like, I don't want to call him like Bambi, but he did not have like the confidence to skate tall, and just the way he carries himself is so different. And the way that he moves with the puck on his stick, and the way that he has the confidence to follow through and not just pass. I hope that Matt Coronado ends up finding a way to generate some offense. He had a lot of good chances during game 2, but he just couldn't get lucky and capitalize. I think that once that monkey is off of his back, you're going to see him kind of come alive. And that's what you need. And this, again, is additional experience for these players. This is something that is, the stakes are high. This isn't just preseason or regular season. Like, these are the playoffs where you can really make a name for yourself and see what kind of player you are. I really like what we've seen from the Wranglers. I'm not just saying that because I cover them and the Flames, but if there were glaring issues, they would be addressed, because we all know that nothing goes unaddressed on this podcast. But that will do it for today's episode of Locked On Flames. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I hope you have a great start to your week and are just getting enough sunlight like a plant. It's finally sunny and warm here, so windows are open. I'm thriving. Hockey's still fun. And I will, of course, have you covered tomorrow for the draft lottery and everything else Calgary Flames moving forward through this off season. Make sure you subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. And until tomorrow, stay safe, stay warm, stay dry, stay hydrated, and be kind.